Hey there, how you doing? It is Kieran here from Local Leverage SEO, and I wanted to record a video today and talk about something that whether business owners are actively asking somebody this, I know this is a question that a lot of business owners have in their mind, right? And that is Google AdWords or SEO, and which one is right for your business? Which one should you be investing in, right, for your business, right? So let's just first talk about, like, why would you want to invest in, Google AdWords or SEO, right? I don't think it's, any secret. Obviously, as a local business, right, the lifeblood of your business is clients. That means you need to consistently generate new business, right? You need to consistently fill your pipeline. Problem is, when you don't actually have a plan or a strategy, and you more or less just hope that clients will continue to call, it can create a level of inconsistency in your business, which can really impact you mentally and emotionally, by the way, right? Like, just those, like, anxiety of, like, is business going to be there today, or constantly worrying and wondering about cash flow and lead generation inside of your business. And I don't think, I've kind of got a little off topic here, but I don't think, there's been a time where it's, people are asking themselves these questions more frequently than right now, with everything that we're seeing with regards to COVID. So what I'm going to be doing in this video is I'm going to be outlining Google AdWords, and I'm going to be outlining local SEO. We're going to be talking about which one is right for your business. And maybe in another video, I'll talk about, how to have far more success with both as well. But let's kind of get into it. Okay. So the first thing I want to talk about is, Google AdWords or local SEO. So you might not know what Google AdWords is and what local SEO is. So I'm going to show you. I'll share my screen with you in just a second. But before I do that, please like and share this video. If you got a question that you'd like me to answer in an upcoming video, don't hesitate to leave a comment, and I will certainly answer your question in an upcoming video. Also, if you'd like to find out more about working with us here at Local Leverage SEO, there is a link in the video description where you can schedule a partnership opportunity call where we'll hop on the phone together, and we can discuss it and see if it's a good fit to work together. Okay, so anyway, let's go over and let's just quickly look at the difference between Google AdWords and SEO. Okay, so got my coffee here. All right, so I'm just going to quickly share my screen with you. Just a second here. There we go. All righty. So now what I'm going to do is I'm just going to pop over here. We'll open up a new window, and what we're going to do is let's just type in a term. Sorry. Let's just type in a term. Sorry, I got people calling consistently. For a local service-based business. So let's type in plumbers, Hamilton, Ontario. Okay, so I'm located in Brantford. So Hamilton is just about, 30 minutes away. So let's just quickly type that in, and we're going to see the various search results. Okay, so here we see, our Google guaranteed business results. Okay, and if you're not familiar with what that is, I'll have to go through that in a different video, but this is another form of Google advertising. And then here we've got the Google AdWords, which we were just discussing. And then down here in this section right here, these are the local search results, also known as the map listings. And then down here, we've got the organic results. Okay, so what we're going to be talking about specifically, because these Google guaranteed business listings, they are not applicable for every business industry, and I want to make it as applicable to everyone as possible. And also, that's, like I said, it requires its own separate video. We're going to be talking specifically about Google AdWords here, okay, and local SEO here. And I might throw in a tiny bit of organic as well and just discuss that. But these are what we're going to talk about. So which one should you be investing in? Should you be investing in Google AdWords here, or should you be investing in local SEO, which would assist you in ranking here? Okay, so let's just pop back over here and we're just gonna come back. So now know, right? You know what Google AdWords are, and you also know like what local SEO is, or at least the result that you're trying to achieve when you invest in Google AdWords or when you invest in local SEO, right? So the first thing that we need to realize is that both methods, regardless of whether you're investing in one or investing in the other, right, they're both vying for the attention of the same people, those same individuals who are searching. Whether you're doing local SEO or you're doing AdWords, they're both vying for the same eyeballs, right? Where if you were to advertise on another platform like Facebook or something like that, right, obviously completely different people, completely different environment. But the reason that local SEO and AdWords are so important is because the lead quality that businesses are able to generate is extremely, extremely high, far higher than on many other platforms or many other, advertising methods. The only thing that really, is above it is referrals or some sort of joint venture. Those are going to be the only cases where you're going to get a higher quality lead than Google or people who are actively searching. And the reason is obviously because these people are they've got extremely high buyer intent, right? They've gone onto their computer and they are looking for a plumber, electrician, you name the local business, right? But they're going there and they're actively looking for a service, right? So they've already got it in their mind that this is a purchase, that they need to make. So it's really the person who, they contact first, or whether it's a quote process, depending on the business, right? That those businesses that are getting the vast majority of those calls coming in are really cleaning up, right? They're generating the lion's share of all the local leads in the area. And that's why it's so critical, to either capitalize one or the other. And we'll talk about, which one you should do, a little later on in the video. But keeping that in mind, so we know, obviously, these are extremely important eyeballs because of the fact that the lead quality is so high. But I don't want to mislead you into thinking that Google AdWords is right for every single business, because it isn't, okay? Google AdWords and local SEO, quite frankly, they're going to be effective for the same businesses. They're most effective for service-based businesses, even more so anything that's got like an emergency factor in it, right? Like maybe you've lost your key, you need a locksmith, right? You're having you got a clogged toilet, you need a plumber, right? They're going to go. Those are going to be the businesses that have the absolute highest level of success, along with home services, whether it's a roofing contractor, a landscaper, HVAC service, okay? Also, health-related service, whether it's, a chiropractor, right? But you think about it from this perspective, like a pharmacy, you might need to search for the pharmacy to get their number so you can call in your prescription or something like that. But, we typically, our pharmacy is usually like the local, it's just around the corner. It's in the grocery store that we go to, right? Like it's not something where we're searching them out and we're looking for, who has the highest quality service, or, where we're looking at it and we're saying, my buying decision is going to be based on these different criteria. So I want to make sure I pick the right service provider. Those businesses are going to be the ones who have the highest level of success with Google AdWords or local SEO. Okay, so you got to ask yourself this question: like businesses like retail businesses that have huge product lines, it's not going to be the most effective for, right? Anything that's like a very, very has a very high level of like convenience to it, like a convenience store or a gas station or something like that, it's not going to be, they're not really going to benefit from Google AdWords and local SEO. Moreover, the businesses that are going to really get the highest returns are the businesses who sell a high ticket item, right? So maybe, maybe it's a roofing contractor. Like, what does the average roof replacement cost? Maybe between like $5,000 and $8,000, right? That's like an average. That's a high ticket item. So Google AdWords and local SEO are going to be extremely effective for them, right? Because they can invest that money in, and even if they, invested like, even if they invested, let's say they put in like $5,000, which is a ridiculous amount. Like, they would not put this in for like a smaller area, but let's say they put that in and they generated like, 3 or 4 leads over the course of a month. Like, it would be worth it for them, right? Because of the fact that their ticket item is so high. Okay, so with that in mind, now you've got an idea about what businesses are going to see the most success, or who could benefit the most from Google AdWords and from local SEO, right? So what we want to do is we want to look at the pros and cons of both, because there are certainly pros and cons to each of these different methods. So you want to make sure that, you're making the right decision, because regardless, like, I mean, is marketing inexpensive or is it expensive? Well, that's, it's a tough question, because the answer is relative. Like, effective marketing that generates a high ROI, right? That's very, inexpensive, right? Even if, you let's say you spend, $1 million, but you make 20 million, right? Like, I mean, that's not expensive. In fact, it's very inexpensive for the result. Conversely, if you're dumping loads of money in, but you're not seeing any return, that's when you're like, man, this marketing is expensive. So if you're going to be, investing money in and AdWords done properly and local SEO done properly, like, it's not crazy expensive, but it's certainly not, I wouldn't call it cheap either, especially if you want it done properly. So again, that's another reason why you want to make sure that, you're picking the right one for you. So let's look at Google AdWords first. What are the benefits with regards to, or the pros and cons with regards to Google AdWords? Well, one of the pros or the benefits to Google AdWords, especially for newer businesses, is the fact that, it functions like a faucet. Okay, like, you can literally open your business today, set up an AdWords account, and you can be generating clients by tomorrow. Okay. And that is extremely powerful, especially if, you're a new business or you're trying to break into a new area, right? That's another benefit with regards to Google AdWords, is the fact that you can really just hone in and target like specific areas, right? Where with local SEO, if you wanted to do this, you'd be looking at, more time. So let's say, you're in Brantford, but you want to generate more clients in Hamilton, right? Well, with Google AdWords, you can just start dumping money into Hamilton, and you can begin generating clients there. Where if you were to do that with local SEO, there would be a much more, in-depth process, right, to get you there, which would take more time. So anyway, it functions like a faucet, right? Which is really, really good. Like I said, you can implement it quickly and start seeing results very quickly, right? The lead quality that you're able to generate is extremely high. We already talked about the fact that, you can certainly expand to different areas. And those are some of my favorite pros to Google AdWords. But what are some of the cons with regards to Google AdWords? What are some of, the negatives? Well, one of the things that we need to be aware of is the fact that it's a bidding process, okay? So it's an auction or a bidding process. So Google is going to favor the businesses who are spending the most amount of money, right? So of course, depending on your area and depending on the level of competition, you can start to see some extremely high costs. And, as you continue to increase your advertising spend, your budget, right? Other people are likely, your cost per click, other people's cost per click can go up as a result. So it, it can raise across the board just due to the level of competition, which can get extremely high. Another thing is that, when you turn off Google AdWords, okay, when you turn off Google AdWords, like a faucet, it turns on, but when you stop spending money, boom, those leads just dry up quickly, right? There's no like residual effect after, right? Like when you say, oh, you know what, I don't have any more money to spend, right? Or cash is, tight in the business. We don't have any money to invest in Google AdWords or something like that. Like all the results that you were getting, they are gone, right? Those disappear, and you're not generating leads anymore. So it's a true pay to play. Okay. Also, you can find yourself, competing against companies, with regards to the ads, competing against companies who sometimes are less reputable, maybe a little shoddy, maybe a little underhanded, because Google's ultimate goal is to provide their users with the absolute best user experience, right? That is their goal. That's the business that they're in, that when somebody goes to Google, they get the answer that they're looking for, right? So do Google Ads really do this for people? Well, not necessarily, right? Because Google doesn't know if that person that they're sending, these people who are searching for this service, they don't know if that business is a good, reputable business, right? So, with that in mind, we we just need to understand that with regards to those ads, we're not really like with regards to AdWords, it's not really furthering Google doesn't like it, essentially, right? They love collecting the money from it because it's their primary source of revenue. But at the same time, they really don't like the fact that they don't have control over who's advertising. Okay. And that can actually be a problem, where let's just quickly look at the other side, which would be local SEO, right? You don't just like rank locally first, right? By doing nothing. You can't pay to play, right? You rank locally by showing Google that you've got the authority, the relevance, the trust, and that you're, an active business, that they can say, oh, when somebody's searching for plumbing, right? The company that we're displaying is the most relevant, the most authoritative, and the most trustworthy company that we see in this area. And that's why we're going to display them, right? So you are getting that placement, you are generating that lead, right? You are getting that position, that top position, because Google sees you as the best option, not just because, you threw some money at it. Okay. Some additional benefits with regards to local SEO is the fact that, when you invest money into it, okay, even if you I always tell people, like, even if you invest, and you're able to, you move forward and you're able to rank first place in your area and you're generating leads, even if you stop spending money, right, the residual effects are still going to stay around for at least, some period of time, depending on the level of competition, the area, the industry, etc. Right? So, if you're in a highly competitive industry and you just kind of take your foot off the gas, you could just, your rankings could disappear quite quickly. But at the same time, that residual effect does last. Also, when we look at Google AdWords, every single lead that you're paying, every single lead that you generate, every click, you're paying a price for that, right? So, if you generate, let's say 100 clicks one month, and you generate, 1,000 clicks, the next month, like, you are paying that difference, right? Where conversely with local SEO, depending on how the fee structure is set up with who's doing it for you, but when you invest, that payment, that monthly retainer, that recurring fee, right? It doesn't matter whether, you're paying that set amount, but you're generating, whether you generate 100 leads or 1,000 leads, right? It's all covered by that. One of my favorite reasons to invest in local SEO is because it is dramatically less expensive than Google AdWords when you look at it for or from a return on investment perspective. So why is this the case? Well, actually, it's because far more businesses invest in Google AdWords than those who invest in local SEO. Now, why is this? Well, there's a lot of different reasons, but or at least a few of those reasons are, number one, a lot of businesses don't really understand SEO, right? They don't understand it. They think it's like, some sort of magic, right? Also, I don't think it's any secret that, search engine optimization, right? Everyone gets these spam emails. Like it's got, doesn't have a, kind of a good feeling, like there's a lot of less than reputable providers, right? So they feel uncomfortable. Maybe they don't know. Also, you've got to invest money up front that is going to take some time to see that return, right? And until you start seeing results. So, I mean, businesses who are just getting started, or, who are in a rush to generate business, or in a hurry, right? They're not going to want to invest in it up front. Also, one of the things that I love about it is all those, like those maybe less than reputable companies, and all those companies who are, not maybe, they're not local or something like that. So let's say, we want to rank, we're located in Brantford, right? Well, the thing is, like let's say like a roofing company from Hamilton, they can advertise in, use Google AdWords to advertise in Brantford, right? But it's not like that with local SEO, because local SEO has a really has a lot of the rankings weighted on proximity, like how close the person searching is to the business. So what does that mean? It means, a local service provider in Brantford is going to have a dramatic advantage over a local service provider in Hamilton who's trying to show up when people in Brantford search. Okay. Of course, there are ways to get around it. I'll quickly show you an example here. So if we just go here, hang on a second here, just quickly. So I'm going to just quickly show you right here. So going to quickly just share this with you. Actually, let's pop over there. Okay, so let's say we've got, our plumbers up here, and I'll actually show you how this would function, like with regards to my business, right? So here at Local Average SEO, we're located in Brantford, right? We're located in Brantford. There's a lot of cities surrounding us, but what do we specialize in? We specialize in local SEO, and that means we don't try to be everything to everybody. We're extremely relevant to those people who are searching for our services because we're specialists. So keeping that in mind, if we search for, like local SEO Brantford, we're the only, it literally just shows up the the information box, like right here, meaning that for local SEO, we're pretty much the primary option. But if we just go over here and we look at, let's say, local SEO Cambridge, right? So that's about 30 minutes away, right? We can see right here, local leverage SEO. So even though they're in a completely different city, let's try local SEO Hamilton. Right. Boom, still first, right? Let's try local SEO Mississauga. Let's see if this works. Nope, we didn't make it. We're not in Mississauga anymore. Let's try local SEO Kitchener. See, still first. So you can see what I mean. There is ways that you can do it, but I mean, it's far, far, far more challenging to display in a different city if you're located, if you're located in Brantford, to display in Cambridge is far, far more, than challenging than if you were just to dump some money into Google AdWords and begin showing up in Cambridge, right? So that's another reason. Now, I don't think I touched on this, but one of my favorite reasons is the fact that, actually, I did just kind of touch on the ROI, right? The ROI is just so high compared to Google AdWords because, as I said, far less people are investing in it because of the fact they either don't know what they're doing, or also you got to understand that any like less than reputable or shoddy businesses, guys who aren't really, who don't have great reputations, they're not going to invest in local SEO because they would be investing a large sum of money only, right, to display, but their reputation, their reviews, and what their kind of the online reputation that they have, if they're providing a bad service, is going to, it doesn't matter, how, like, even if they're in first place, if they've got like a 2-star ranking, right, people aren't going to click on them. So it becomes, a highly involved process, with results that aren't really going to provide them with any benefit because of the fact they're not providing a service which backs it up. That's another reason. Like, for local SEO, only the top service providers are going to stick around, right? Because what's going to happen is those lower quality service providers, right, once those rankings start going down, people start clicking less, the click-through rate goes down. Google says, oh, this company isn't as relevant because they're not getting as much attention as they were. People aren't going to their website, et cetera, et cetera. Boom, their rankings start to drop, right? So you can see, some of the benefits of, local SEO. And also, it's a long-term play, right? Businesses who are looking to be around for the long term, man, you need to invest in SEO, and you need to do it as soon as possible, because it is literally, it's a game changer for your business, right? But that's not to say that Google AdWords is not important, because it is. But there was it's a 2008 ComScore study. You can go to comscore.com and you can see these statistics. But 4 out of every 5 local consumers who are looking for a local service-based business are going to a search engine like Google, Yahoo, or Bing, okay, or like Yandex, or a search engine, right? With the vast majority of them, over 90%, using Google. Okay, so that means over 80%, this is 2018, right? So over 80% of all the people who are looking for your services are going to a search engine, okay? We also know that 98% of those people, so 98% of the people who are going to that search engine, they are selecting a business from the first page of Google. So out of all those people who are going to Google, 98% of them are selecting a business from the first page, okay? 93% of those people, okay, are selecting from the map listings. Okay, they're selecting from that 3-pack. It doesn't matter. And I'm not talking about where you click the little button and it expands and says more businesses. I'm talking about they are selecting somebody from either position 1, position 2, or position 3. Okay, so why am I sharing these statistics with you? Because think about it for a moment. If 93% of the people are clicking in those local listings, how many percentage points does that leave for the Google Ads and the organic? It leaves 7% remaining, right? 7% remaining. And I should say, by the way, this is only for people who are looking for a local service-based business. It's not for, it only applies to like local areas. I don't want to, mislead anybody, right? But I mean, so that's still 100% of all the people who are looking for your services. Okay, so when we take that into consideration, that's 93% of all the people who are looking for a local service-based business are selecting from the local listings, from those map listings. Okay, so that is why local SEO is so powerful, because the vast majority of all the people who are searching are going to select a business from that area. That means if you're not there, you're missing out on the lion's share of all the potential opportunity. So that is why local SEO is so powerful. And the fact that so few businesses are investing in it, right? The ones who are seeing crazy returns. Now, it's not to say, it's a long-term play. You gotta work at it for a little while, right? You don't just boom, just start doing stuff and boom, your rankings transform just, in a day. It doesn't work like that, right? It's something that you do over time. You build it over months, right? But that's not to say that, depending on the industry, you could just see, rankings change very quickly. But, to give that expectation to somebody, I would simply be misleading to you. Okay. But the point that we're trying to make here is that, yeah, it's extremely powerful, especially for local service-based businesses. You can capitalize, on the vast majority, 93% of all the people who are looking for your services. Like, local SEO is what's going to help you to capitalize on them. But let's kind of bring this back and say, which one should you be using? Should you be using local SEO or should you be using Google AdWords, right? And the answer is both. You should be using both, ideally, right? You want to claim as much real estate on that first page of Google as possible, right? We know the lead quality is high. We know when somebody is looking, it means they want to buy, right? If that's the case, we want to take up as much real estate on that front page. So what do? We invest in both Google AdWords and we also invest in local SEO, right? Because what does that do? It literally doubles the chances that they are going to select our business from a space perspective, right? But if it is somebody who selects a business from the ad section, again, we want to make sure that we are there, right? And there's a load of different things that you can do to improve the effectiveness of Google AdWords, and I'll touch on that in an upcoming video. But if you were wondering, like, should you invest in Google AdWords? Should you invest in local SEO? The answer is yes, like undoubtedly. Okay, if you're just opening up a business, I would say, you should, you want to obviously hit that cash flow. So I would invest in Google Ads immediately if you're just opening a business, but I would also be focusing on that local SEO too. I would just figure out a way to fit it into your budget, because here's the thing, like, business doesn't happen unless customers come through the door, unless you're getting clients, right? Business doesn't happen. So that's why, marketing is so critical to any business. It is the lifeblood. Leads are the lifeblood, especially of a local business, right? So with that in mind, right, you want to make sure that you've got not just that you have a high potential, a high likelihood to generate leads, but you want to make sure you've got a strategy to ensure that you are getting a consistent flow of high quality leads. And you're not going to get a higher quality lead outside of referrals and joint ventures than you will with local SEO. Okay. And also with Google AdWords as well, because again, those are still extremely high qualified leads. You'll get a higher ROI with the local SEO, but you should be using both ideally, because you want to take up as much real estate as possible. Okay. So if you're, a painter, a plumber, an electrician, a roofing company, a chiropractor, an HVAC service provider, a locksmith, like all of these different businesses, like these businesses, right? These are the businesses who are going to have the highest level of success with local SEO. And here's the thing, if you're wondering, like, hey, I don't know, you didn't list my business, right? But you're wondering, I have a landscaping company, right? Is local SEO and Google AdWords going to be right for me? Yes, it's going to be extremely good for you, right? But if you're unsure, by all means, you can leave us a comment. We'll certainly respond to it. Or you can absolutely shoot us a message if you're uncomfortable leaving a comment, and we'll be more than happy to let you know whether or not Google AdWords is right for you, whether local SEO is right for you. And if they aren't, we can certainly make a recommendation on what advertising medium is going to be the right fit for your specific business, because effective advertising is right, the right message to the right market through the right media, right? Saying the right thing to the right people through the right communication method, right? That is effective marketing, right? And when people are searching, right, on a local search engine like Google, like, I mean, those are people who are looking for your services. Okay, so anyway, this has gone way longer than I planned it to, but still, we have covered a lot, and hopefully we've cleared up any misunderstandings or any lack of clarity with regards to whether or not you should be using Google AdWords or whether or not you should be using local SEO inside your business. And the answer is ideally both, right? But if you plan on being in business for a long time, 100%, I would go, and you've got, consistent business right now, I would go all in on local SEO. But if I was just getting started, I would certainly allocate money to local SEO, but I would also be going all in on AdWords as well, because you want to generate those leads fast, right? So again, we've covered a lot, but please like and share this video. It helps me reach more people. It helps more people, more business owners get to see, discover and learn, their answers to their local business questions, their local business marketing questions. So again, please like and share. If you have a question, if you have a comment, please leave it in the comment section down below. And beyond that, if you would like to find out more about working with us here at Local Leverage SEO, partnering with us here, and having us take care of all the heavy lifting for you so you can focus on what you do best inside of your business, then by all means, you can shoot us a message. And there's actually a link inside the video description where you can schedule a partnership opportunity call and see if it's a good fit. Okay. So anyway, this is Kieran from Local Leverage SEO. It's been fun, and we'll see you tomorrow. Chat soon. Bye.